But no, thank you for that. And sorry, guys, be patient. This is why it's a beta service. But anyways, let's try to just bear with this. We got wow, 22 people. This just keeps growing and growing and growing, which is pretty awesome. This is on fire. I'm probably going to have to. I'm going to try to turn the video on once more. If it kicks me off video again, I'm just going to have to do the audio streaming, which is probably okay because I know you all don't like looking at my face anyways. Well, except for Danny Gilmore. He loves looking at me. But besides that, thank you all again for joining. This is pretty amazing. Shoot your questions. You should see an area there where you'll be able to log in questions. You know, we started this. We want to talk about business, about tech, about automation, crypto, anything you all want to discuss. Let's discuss it, you know, if it has to do with business and tech and all that good stuff, because I tell you what, I get a lot of experts, very diverse amount of experts that come onto my podcast, Shark Bite Biz. I've had every walk of life come onto the show, tell me their story, and I've got a lot of info and I got a lot of opinions that I formulated over the past year because of that. And I always enjoy discussing that with as many people as I can, you know, but there is one story I have to, before I bring somebody up on stage with me, there is one story we've got to discuss, okay? Elon Musk. He was on Saturday Night Live this past weekend. Did you guys see that? Wasn't he like Wario or something like that, which was kind of crazy, but what I found most interesting is Elon Musk is kind of like behind this whole surge of Dogecoin. Anybody out there got Dogecoin? I know I got Dogecoin. I spent $25 on Dogecoin like 2 years ago. And the one day I'm just casually looking at Robinhood and I'm like, oh my God, it's worth $1,100. And then I kind of put my whole life savings into it. And yeah, it was a rough couple weeks, but everything turned out all right just because it did keep going up and up and up. But it's kind of crazy. You know, it's like it was building up this whole week while we were waiting for Elon Musk to be on Saturday Night Live. Dogecoin kept going up and up and up. And then all of a sudden he goes on and it just like crashes. I mean, it was so crazy. But what's even crazier is SpaceX, okay? You know Elon's, I guess, space company, SpaceX, they are actually launching a Dogecoin-funded moon satellite. How insane is that they're using Dogecoin to launch a satellite to the moon that's 100% fully funded by Dogecoin. This is like the funniest thing ever because Dogecoin is like a meme currency. It doesn't do anything at all. So I don't know. I just kind of had to get that out of there, get that out into the open. And looks like we got a question out here from our buddy Michael. Michael, did you see Elon's Twitter was hacked for hackers to make money off crypto during that Saturday Night Live? No, I did not see that. So I guess it sounds like what you're saying is that while he was on Saturday Night Live, somebody actually hacked his crypto, which he, you know, I mean, he hacked his Twitter, which he obviously couldn't do because he was on Saturday Night Live. That is, that's pretty insane. No, I didn't see that at all. What I do want to do is, wow, so many people in here that I know, so many people I don't know. I do want to bring somebody up here on stage with me, okay? And I am going to bring Neil Ferguson up here on stage because Neil told me, David, I was at your last live stream. It was awesome. It was incredible. It was so incredible that the only way it could be better is if you brought me up on stage with you. So we We tried to do it last time. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, and it's probably because Neil had to accept the permissions in the browser to allow his camera and stuff like that and missed it. But let's see if we're able to connect with him this time and bring him up. You there, Neil?
I am, David. How are you?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. This is so exciting. Look at all the people we have here.
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on. Did you actually dress up for the live stream?
No, I always dress like this, David.
Yeah, okay.
For anybody that works with me at Vision, this might be the first time since I interviewed with the company that I've put a jacket on.
Yes, I can verify that. I don't think I've seen you wearing a jacket, but it's okay. You look good, man. You look snazzy.
Thank you very much. I feel great. Loving this. This is such an exciting platform to be on.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, the thing is, you work in tech. We work in tech. We work for the same company, Vision 33. And you always have hiccup with tech. You know, it's never perfect. This is very clearly, it's a beta service with Hotline. They've been gracious enough to give us a platform to let us come out here, test it out. And, you know, you have a little bit of hiccups. But as you saw, Eric shot right out like, hey, RTC problem, bam, fixed, working for us again. Now it not only works, but I was able to actually bring you up online with us.
Yeah, and my dog is even here. He's so excited about this that you probably just heard. He gave us a little shout out.
Oh yeah, love dog. I guess your dog loves Dogecoin, right?
He does, but he told me not to buy it. So yeah, see, he's talking now. He said, "Don't buy Dogecoin. Stick with the ones you know."
Yeah, stick with the ones you know. There you go. So I wanted to bring you on because you do such an important role at Vision 33, which is help with business development and bringing in opportunities. I don't know if you know this, but we're in this pandemic, right?
I've heard something about that, David. Is that still happening?
Yeah, it's not like C-19 or I don't know, something like that. COVID's what it's called.
Yes, I think I might have heard that in the news once or twice.
So one of the things, hey, Catherine D says hello to us. Hi, Catherine D. Which, in all transparency, Catherine D, it says at D Wenton. That is actually my mother. So my mother is on the stream watching us. Neil, go ahead, say hi to my mom.
Catherine, or should I say, Mom? How you doing?
No. I said say hi. I didn't say flirt with my mom.
I can't help it, David. I'm just a flirt, I suppose. But Catherine, very nice to meet you.
Oh yeah, I bet she's honored to meet you too, Neil. So, anyways, you know, I wanted to bring you on because this is a business podcast. We like to have fun. We like to laugh. We like to discuss a lot of things, but business has changed over the course of the pandemic. How things were March of 2020 and before compared to how they are in May of 2021 are completely different. Now, with your role of being in there like a business development type person, how do you view that reaching out to people, to communicating people, to generating business opportunities have changed?
Yeah, that's a great point, and it's one of the biggest challenges working in this space with business development. I think what's fundamentally happened over the past year is people's purchasing decisions or people's purchasing methods have changed. It used to be that you would get 10 people from an organization in a room. You'd do a demo, they would talk to each other, and they would be able to give you feedback and questions. And there was a lot of organic energy in a room.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't exist in this environment. Sure, you can get on and do you can do a Zoom or you can do a WebEx or whatever it happens to be, but people don't interact the same way. So it's really important for business development reps now to be able to get their message out in a very clear and concise way and engage with people. Business development reps who aren't being taught great engagement skills are really going to struggle in this environment, because it's the only way you can get people to speak with you.
Well, how do you teach those skills then? And by the way, before you answer that, remember, you can jump in queue, ask your questions. You can ask to me, you can ask to Neil, you can ask to come online. Anybody wants to jump on stage, I will bring you on stage. Just throw it up there in the chat. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, I think when it comes to teaching people that skill, it's all about listening. It's all about engagement. There's a great phrase that I heard a few years back now that I think I use every single day, and that's listen to understand, don't listen to respond. And BDRs, that's a core skill for them. If you are sitting down and somebody is speaking with you, and your first reaction is to start formulating your response, you're no longer listening. And when you don't listen, you don't understand. So you take that in the opposite direction. Just focus on what they're saying. Ask them questions. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What happens when this happens in that scenario? And then just listen. Don't try to answer the questions. Don't try to tell everybody what your story is. Just listen, and you'll get great information.
That's actually what you just said right there was really important, because I think a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this too, is that when somebody's talking, in my mind, it's like, okay, I already know what they're going to say, so I'm trying to formulate my response. And while I guess I don't want to say it's wrong, because I don't like to say I'm ever wrong, but it actually it's not the best response. I mean, you should truly be listening to what they're saying, and then have your response then after that, because it really makes sense. Because think about this: how many times somebody has said something, okay, and you think that they're saying one thing, and then you go out because you weren't actually listening, and you give them a response, and you're giving them the total wrong response because you assumed they said something that they actually were not saying.
Yeah, and that's another fundamental challenge that BDRs face, whether it's in a remote environment or you're face to face. The truth is, if you are trying to speak to somebody and you're trying to deliver your message and not listening to theirs, you're going to fail.
Oh yeah, totally true, totally true. So we got a question from Gozvit Tomapaska, and it says, "Hey David, how do you like podcasting?" So podcasting is interesting. It is something that I honestly, I said this during my last live show. I love it now, but I did not like it originally. It was one of those things that I felt that I was forced to do because of the pandemic. People like Alex at Vision 33, he knows, or Jeff, Danny, some of the other GMs from Vision that are on the call here. I was forced to try to innovate and do events when I was a sales rep out in LA, and I was trying to differentiate and be different. And I wanted to do that through the Northeast. Didn't really work out. We bit a little bit more than we could chew with going for this big bang Northeast road show. And then the pandemic hit, and I was really forced into a corner. Like, hey, how do I network with people? How do I grow my network? How do I continue to learn? How do I continue to create opportunities and partnerships? Believe it or not, I actually registered the name Shark Bite Biz. It's been 6 years ago now. 6 years ago. That's how long I've wanted to do a podcast, but I don't like public speaking. I've never liked it. I don't like being in front of a camera, and it was one of those things that it's just like I forced myself to kind of learn how to do it, to learn how to speak, to learn how to do these types of things, because it's just like everything else at life. If you don't innovate and you don't go forward, you're going to be left behind. And I needed to be able to do that, especially in a time like right now, in order to try to advance business and meet people. And I've met so many awesome people with our podcast that we're doing. One of them, getpayroll.com, is somebody that we're actually partnering with to some levels right now, as well as we got people that are opportunities, and not just with me, but I've been able to help people just through the podcast. Like, hey, they're looking for help, and it's like, well, I just interviewed somebody a month ago. I actually think they might be able to help you. And then I connect those two people that, aren't even related to me at all. So it's been overall a pretty cool experience. So let's see. We got another question here from Michael again, with his million questions all the time. Is going cloud-based still the growing trend in 2021? So I got my answer for that, but since I have Neil up here as a co-guest with me, Neil, I'll let you answer first. What do you think?
Well, I think unless something else comes along that's going to replace cloud, that is more secure and more accessible, then yes, cloud is going to continue to be the dominant database selection for 2021 and well beyond that. I think the key advantages to the cloud, security and accessibility, it's on-prem will simply never come back for a mass solution in the future.
I think the pandemic has kind of broke it. It broke it because of the fact that you had a lot of companies that were, they were forcing themselves, oh no, we've got to be on-prem security, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like everybody's working remote and they're scrambling to try to find. And then they kind of realize, like, oh crap, we've been forcing ourselves to do all this on-prem stuff for this many years, and there realistically wasn't a good answer for that, because everything does exist in the cloud. I mean, even with our product like SAP Business One, I mean, you have things like WebRD to where you can kind of get the browser-based experience running at something like AWS single tenant cloud. And it's just, I think the mobile workforce, I really think that, the cloud discussion goes to a bigger discussion of how we as a society are going to be working in the future. Because I think the 9 to 5 workday inside of the four walls of an office is, essentially outdated. I think it's more task orientated, that you're going to be completing your goals, you're going to be executing your goals, and you don't necessarily have to be doing that in front of a cubicle office chair to reach all that stuff.
Yeah,
so,
and I would also add to that, David, that there's a driving force. There's a driving force behind cloud right now that isn't necessarily user driven, it's more supplier driven. And we are seeing now that there is a huge market, there's huge business around big data. Companies are taking all of that information that's getting stored in their clouds, they're depersonalizing that data, and they're monetizing it. And there's a huge business that's building around that.
Yeah. We have a lot of people in this room yet. There's over 23 people just watching right now. We got a couple questions in the queue. If anybody, seriously, I see Christian, great guy. You want to jump on stage? Let me know. I mean, there's Alex, you can jump up. Danny, Michael, you've asked a couple questions. Anybody that wants to jump on stage, let us know. I'll pull you up here as a co-host. Tenny Koshi's here. Tenny, brilliant fella. Definitely, I'll bring anybody up here that wants. Holy cow! I started telling people that they can come up on stage, and we lost somebody. No, we're back up to 23. So let's see. Silver Surfer, awesome name, by the way. So if you have a cold wallet, Nano or something, and it gets destroyed, your coins can still be recovered. So I'm assuming you're talking about a cold wallet as far as crypto goes. And if you go through cold storage, I mean, that's tough because if you have your crypto held offline and that gets destroyed, I don't know if you can recover it. I mean, I know a lot about crypto, but I don't know it to that degree. I never got into doing crypto with the cold storage type stuff or keeping it offline just because I'm the type of person that would forget the password and then I'd have $10 million worth of Bitcoin sitting on some flash drive that I would never be able to access and would feel like an idiot. So I that's something I'm going to have to pass on. Unfortunately, I don't have that answer, but I'll make you a deal. Next live stream we do, definitely going to pull someone in that's going to be a lot more educated as far as that stuff goes to be able to get you some of those answers over. Okay. Raquel Strausser, which happens to be my wife, asking, why is creating content so important during the pandemic? Okay, so obviously she sees me creating a lot of content, and I guess she's trying to give me a chance to validate why I spend so much time doing what I do. And I think it is because of the fact that the pandemic is a big reset in terms of being able to reinvent yourself. You're not doing a lot of the things that you used to do. You're not commuting to go to an office. You're not going as much on sites. You're not you're not doing a lot of the other stuff that you used to. I mean, even restaurants. I mean, you're barely going to restaurants. So things like that means that you have a lot of extra time. And it is the time to be able to use that, to be able to create content and get it out. It's funny. I just did an interview with Soledad O'Brien, and we were talking just about this same exact topic, to where the old school mainstream media is essentially out. Okay. People are looking for not necessarily independent media, but they're looking for niche media. They're looking for content that speaks to them. We're no longer in a world where it's one size fits all, whether it's business advice or whether it is TV shows or comedy or whatever. There's something that fit everybody. And that's why right now is probably the best time, because you have the extra time due to the pandemic and being stuck at home to be able to create whatever you're looking to create. What do you think about that, Neil?
I think you're exactly right, David. And I would add to that this is a time of such incredible uncertainty. We all are wondering what's next. How does all of this impact the world that we've been living in? And I know I personally look at podcasts like yours, like Shark Bite, for a bit of guidance on what I need to do differently in this world, and what opportunities are out there that maybe weren't there before.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's very different, I think, than a couple years ago. And the other thing is too that the way the technology has advanced, I mean, I spend money on things like Adobe Studio. I spent a couple $100 on a microphone, on a mixing board, on a good camera. I don't know if you could see it, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different studio lights here in my office. And with that, I mean, I essentially have what would, be almost like a professional studio, to where you can make very good looking, very good sounding content from almost anywhere. And it's completely different than what it was just a couple years ago. So I think right now be a good time. Let's pivot. I wanted to talk about, we're talking about tech. We were talking about cloud. I did see a comment from DeWenton, Catherine, who's my mom, saying that she could not hear us. Don't worry, Mom. I'll send you a copy of the video afterwards. But one thing I wanted to kind of talk about is I love bleeding edge tech. And one of the things I love is Google Stadia. Are you a gamer, Neil?
No, I am not.
See, I'm not a gamer either. I have not gamed probably in about 10 plus years. Well, I lie. Okay. I would play Madden football. You're Canadian, I'm American. I do the football thing. I would play maybe 2 or 3 games of that a year, but that was about it. But other than that, I didn't like it at all. And then all of a sudden, about a year and a half ago, Google announced, maybe 2 years ago now, they announced that they were coming out with their cloud platform, their cloud gaming platform. And to me, that was the biggest innovation in gaming that's probably happened in a very, very long time. And it's amazing because the platform gets so much hate. And I've been playing it. I've been playing it a lot too. And again, it's not because I'm a gamer or I like gaming so much, but I like the bleeding edge tech because it allows me to do so many different things that you just can't do with Xbox. You can't do it with PlayStation. And it's amazing, to get 4K, 60K frames, 60 frames per second right there streaming through my computer stream. And then I also have it integrated to where it's on YouTube. Say I was playing this game, Dead by Daylight, and it's a pretty cool game because of the fact that you can be either the hunter, like think of a serial killer that's hunting for victims, or you could be like the victims where you're trying to escape the serial killer. So it's integrated to YouTube to where you got something called crowd choice. The people on the crowd choice that are watching you stream, they can actually pick what character you're going to be, what side you're going to be, the good guy, the bad guy. And you get all this cool stuff that if it was just left to Microsoft, if it was just left to Sony, you wouldn't have any of this stuff. I mean, they really stifled innovation because they really lived by, hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I think if anything, Google has really pushed gaming into the new forefront. In fact, now Microsoft has their xCloud to kind of compete with all this stuff. So we have some questions up here. Let's see. First one is I really stink at pronouncing names, but it's Manaj Mohite. I apologize. What do you think about e-commerce? Is it going to impact shops? Will it keep changing consumer perception to shop online? So that's very interesting. I just had a really good discussion about this on my podcast the other day. And I think, this kind of goes with events too. We're going to really be at a hybrid type thing. I think that e-commerce is going to keep skyrocketing. A lot of people are going to keep, it's in the forefront. We're in a digital first world. That being said, even in a digital first world, there's just some things that just because you can do it digital doesn't mean that it's always going to be the best to do it that way. And that's where for certain items or certain things, you're going to find that, yes, going to the brick and mortar, going to the way that it was before may be, better, or it's going to be a little bit of a hybrid. But I definitely think that as far as the innovation with e-commerce and how that's going along is definitely going to be in the forefront moving forward. What do you think about that, Neil?
Once again, I think you're bang on point. With e-commerce right now, the pandemic has hit the area that I live in extremely hard, and it feels like it's been about a year that we've been locked down. We had a period back in the summer where things opened up a little bit again, but what I've come to realize is there is absolutely nothing that I need in my home that I can't order online and probably have delivered the next day. Now, I'm in a major urban area, so the delivery timeframes are in all likelihood shrunk. But I think e-commerce and this pandemic has proven that e-commerce is here to stay, not because it's not a luxury anymore for a business to be in or to have an e-commerce platform. If you don't have it, it's very likely that you're just not able to compete through a crisis like this, and your business probably isn't going to continue to operate. So I think where the next evolution needs to be, though, is on things like returns. How do we make it easier for people to shop online as opposed to just purchase online? How do you shop online? And that's one of the big advances that we're going to have to see are those businesses that make it easy to buy clothes, return clothes, etc.
I think a lot of it is going to come down to data as well too. What is the data pushing people towards? Is it showing? I think you're probably going to see a lot of hybrid, kind of like what you were saying there, as far as maybe you shop online, but then you're picking it up at the store. I think you're probably going to start seeing probably some multi-retail location. And you can see this a little bit too. Like, look at how Kohl's has a partnership with Amazon, to where with Kohl's you can return stuff to Amazon, and I think you can also pick stuff up from Amazon at Kohl's too, because Kohl's uses that to get people into the store, hoping that they buy that stuff. So I really think that we're at one of those weird times that nobody can really predict the future of what's going to happen, but something big is going to happen. I think it's going to evolve, but exactly how it's going to evolve, I don't think we know, but it is going to evolve, I think, in the digital first world. Let's go with Christian. Christian, do you want to come on stage yet? I want you on stage, Ben. You are a financial whiz. You should definitely be up here. Tips for starting a podcast, okay? Here we go. Tips for starting a podcast. Neil, I am going to temporarily revoke you. I'm going to bring Christian up here.
Thanks, everyone.
You, Neil. I'll bring you back. Don't worry. So let's see. Let me find, where is Christian? You were all the way up top up until I said that I want to bring you on. You were up top, and now you are gone. Okay. Well, I guess then I'll just talk. So tips for starting a podcast. This is something that I went through when I let's see, I'm hitting skip the next guest. Here we go. Remove them from stage. Now let's see if this works. No, I don't see him. All good. Okay. So when I first said, hey, look, I'm actually going to be doing the podcast, what I had to do was I did research. Okay. I listened to what was popular, and unfortunately, because it was 2020, it was a presidential year. So there was a lot of politics. Political podcasts were off the roof. And whether you like it or not, I mean, that's what was really popular. You had that, and then you had things about the pandemic. So what I had to make sure that I did, though, was you don't want confirmation bias, okay? So you don't want to just listen to something that is what you believe in and only what you believe in. You actually want to listen across the whole spectrum. Okay, so left wing, right wing, center, and then you add in the business stuff. Same thing, you listen to the business stuff that you may not agree with the philosophies, but you're not just listening to any channel, okay? You're listening to the most successful ones. Again, even if it's stuff that you don't believe in, if they're one of the top podcasts and it's about business or about this or about that, okay, they have a recipe for success. So what I ended up doing was listening to every single thing I could nonstop, and I spent countless hours. My wife still yells at me to this day because I'm always listening to something, whether it's Joe Rogan, whether it's a political commentary, whether it's a business show, something, because I'm trying to learn from these people that have millions upon millions of views. So I would say that the first thing is listen to people that are successful, get the ideas, start picking and choosing what things they're doing as far as titles, as far as how they frame things, as far as time lengths, stuff like that. Now, as far as finding guests, Christian, I mean, you have a deep network, man. You know a lot of people, especially from out there at the City Club in LA. That's where you and me originally met, out there. You have a lot of people, James Shea, you have Elizabeth Yang, you have Shiny, you have all those great people arms wide open, Blaine, everybody, reach into that network, okay? And just tell them exactly what I did. If you look at a lot of my first guests, probably for the first 5-6 episodes, they were all from the City Club. And I just straight out told them, like, hey, look, I'm starting a podcast. It is straight business. We're talking, just about business growth, how to pivot during the pandemic, and how you can grow your business. And I said, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you help me? Can you come on? Let's have a 20, 30-minute conversation just about that stuff. James Shea he's the CEO of Cybertegic. He was the first guest on my show. I mean, me and him, we're good friends. He's actually referred clients to Vision 33. That's how close we are. And, he was my very first guest. He's like, absolutely, David, I'd love to be on your show. And in fact, to thank him, we're going to be hitting episode 100 probably in about 5 or 6 weeks. James is guest for the episode 100 as a throwback to be like, hey, James, thank you so much. You gave me your time. You had no idea if this was going to work. You came onto the show, and that's what we did. But start with your network, Christian. You know a lot of people. You got a lot of friends. They're smart. And the biggest thing is getting comfortable with you, learning how to carry a conversation. If you look at my first couple interviews, even with people like James, people that I've talked with, a million times in my life, I'm there thinking like, okay, so how do you get a conversion? You'd have those space. And it just really takes practice till you learn how to carry a conversation for a podcast, because sometimes you're going to get a guest that I don't want to say they suck, but they suck. Okay. And that means that, you're asking them, you're telling them, like, hey, look, we want this to be conversational, go into expanded answers. We want to have a conversation about the topic. And you ask them a question and they give you a 4-word answer. So that's where you have to be smart enough to where you're able to kind of carry that conversation and draw that conversation out to where maybe you have to lead. Yeah, they're the guest, but you're doing most of the talking and you've got to carry it. Unfortunately, that happens sometimes. And things like that, it only happens with practice. As far as editing clips for social media, that is the one area I need help with. That's one thing I just don't have the time to be able to do. Okay. I wish I had the best, but I wish I had help with that. If you're listening, Alex, as far as someone going through and just finding like, hey, here's a 3 or a 5-minute clip, chopping that up, sandwiching it together, and then throwing it onto social media to grab it. I've been lucky enough, though, that the show has just kind of caught on fire. People have loved the guest. I think it comes down to being different. There's a million different business podcasts out there. If you remember earlier, I told you that I originally thought of the name Shark Bite Biz and registered the podcast about 6 years ago. And with that, the biggest thing is I was afraid. And it's a false fear, but I was afraid. I was like, why are people going to listen to me? Okay. I am just David Strausser. I don't have anything special to offer. And it wasn't until I was backed into a corner with COVID that it was like, oh, yeah, I do. I can get out there and I can start telling the stories about how these businesses are changing during COVID. And we're still telling those stories now, but now I'm established, and you just kind of have to find your unique angle. Find something that makes you special, that makes you unique, and that really differentiates you from the rest. That's my advice for you, Christian. I hope that helps. Definitely hit me up anytime, and we can talk it up a lot more if you want. Let's jump on to the next question. Let's see. Generation Z, Alex Rooney. First off, Alex, I'm not Generation Z. I am a Zennial. Okay, I misread the question. Generation Z, those born 1996 or later, are now starting to enter the workforce. How do you think the next new generation will shape work trends and the world of business in the next decade? That's an interesting question because COVID, I mean, really that, they're entering the workforce and they're entering it at a time to where everything's changing, everything's different. It is, it's hard to explain. I mean, like, you used to be able to predict, like, oh yeah, these people grew up with tech. They're used to tech. They're used to doing this. They're used to doing that. And you kind of knew the trend, or you could feel the trend that was coming on. Okay. But I think right now, because of COVID, I think that's so much more harder to predict because all the rules that we had up until this point, I mean, we pretty much just chucked those out the window. Everything has changed. We're in an extremely unique situation right now. And the experiences that these people have had as they're going into the workforce, honestly, I don't know what to expect, but it will be interesting. I think one thing is that we can expect them to be able to work on the fly as far as being able to pivot and be more flexible and nimble, probably a little bit more than previous generations, just because, this exactly what they've had to do with this situation right here. That's the only prediction I have off the top of my head right now. Let's see. Gosvi asking again here, how is podcasting different than live streaming? That is a great question. I think the podcasting aspect is pretty neat because you have everything planned out. Okay. I have a script. I know what I'm going to say. And, I can fix it. If I make a mistake, I can go through and I can edit it out. You know what I mean? If I say something totally stupid during an interview, it's like, no problem. I just cut that segment right out right then and there. Okay. But when you're doing a live stream, there is no edit button. If you make a mistake, guess what? The whole world just saw it. It's out there, it's in the open, and people are pretty much, are going to come down on you especially if it was something really, really dumb, because, it happens. I think that's one of the biggest risks that you have with live streaming is the fact that you can slip up. You can have that hot mic moment. And that's where it really comes down to having that discipline to be able to know what to say, what not to say. And then even if you do know what to say, you just have to kind of hope that it's not taken out of context. That what you do say, people kind of get and they understand, because I have one of those weird sense of humors, anybody that works with me, they know how I am, and I may say something that they get because they understand me, but yet somebody who doesn't really know me, they only know me from the show, them hearing that on a live stream, they could be totally offended by it. And that's one of those things that it's just hard to judge, and you have to be ultra careful with it today. I did notice that Christian appeared back in the list, I think because I deleted his comment. So let's see if I could bring Christian up live with me, throw him on the spot. I mean, I've only been talking for 47 minutes. Anybody's wondering, this is my birthday present from my mom. It's Gears iced tea. My birthday was this past Friday. I do not like iced tea, except for one little place that they sell from Pottsville, Pennsylvania, which is the same place that sells Yingling. So I love it, and it's probably my favorite drink in the world. It's the only sugar drink I will actually drink. Everything else is sugar-free. Does not look like Christian is accepting, or he's confused, but I will revoke him, get him out of there. So, hey, we still got a lot of people in this room. We got 23 people. I'm going to keep talking. I got a lot of stuff to go over. Who wants to jump on stage? Somebody's got to want to jump on stage. Tenny, Susan, Silver Surfer, why don't you come on stage? Shoot a question up there. Let me know if you want to come up. I'll bring you up. We can definitely talk more about your cold storage and that kind of stuff. I'd love to see how everybody found me. I mean, I know I advertised this as far as with the pod. Hey, sorry, I was trying to, but there's some kind of technical glitch or something. Okay. Here. Oh, I should have hit the bring on stage. Here we go. So, Christian, more than likely, you might have to hit the accept buttons, like for your microphone and your camera. Look for the pop-ups. I don't know if it does it for this site. I imagine it does, but let's see. Can we get you up here? Let's see. Connecting. We're trying. We're trying. While we're waiting to see if he comes up there, I do want to talk some more tech, though. I want to talk some more tech. I've been trying to buy a laptop, and for the podcast, I need a powerful laptop. It's been tough. Thunderbolt 4 is out, and do you know how hard it is to buy a Thunderbolt 4 laptop with a 4K screen that has an RTX like 3080? I can't find one. Cannot find. Well, I found one, but it was a custom made laptop from a brand I never heard of, and it was like $4,000. But not even Alienware. I mean, they're coming out with one right now with their X series that I'm looking at. It's an Alienware M15 R6 laptop, 11th generation Intel computer, RTX 3080 for the graphics card. It's got everything. Thunderbolt 4. It's fully loaded, except it's only a 1440p screen. That is insane. Why can't they just give a 4K screen? Make my life easier. I want 4K. I don't care about battery life. I'm always plugged in. And even if I'm not plugged in, I have like a battery pack that's like this big. Anybody that's seen me at a live conference event has seen it. It's got like a fan built in and everything. But I went 4K. I don't think that's that crazy to ask for. So I'm going to try to bring one or two more people up here. And if that doesn't work, we might have to hop out. Let's see. Bring on Michael. Full disclosure, Michael is my sales rep. He does report to me. He is brand new, but he is an accountant by trade, not a CPA, but he's got an accountant degree. Extremely bright. Let's see if he's able to connect. While we're waiting to see if he's able to get this configured, in the meantime, there is one big story I wanted to talk about, which I thought was really cool. I don't know about you all, but I review Engadget every single day. Probably have done it for the last 10 plus years. And it is my go-to news source. I don't know. I mean, TechCrunch is probably a little bit better, a little bit more in depth. But the thing is, it's just kind of overkill. And I just like seeing a straight on news feed, that's really easy, like blog posts. So Engadget's always called to me. But I just saw the coolest thing, which is Bose, the headphone company Bose. They built the first FDA cleared hearing aids. Okay. Now, this is actually really cool because these hearing aids actually do not require a doctor's visit. And from what I understand, you don't even need a prescription for them. So if you need to get these hearing aids, you can get these Bose hearing aids directly from Bose with no doctor visit and with no prescription at all. And to me, that is pretty gnarly because that is a really cool advancement of technology to where it is, it's saving you time, it's saving you energy, it's making it so that you don't have to do a lot of these, the process stuff that you used to have to do to get these things that you need. I mean, it's pretty awesome. That's pretty huge for me. Does not look like Mike was able to connect. I've been going for 53 minutes. What did you guys? Oh, one last question for Macau. We were thinking of automating some business processes, but will that mean that people will lose their job? So I will answer that as quickly as possible, but Realistically, no. If you're in a business, you're going to be automating some business processes. What you're doing is, instead of doing things manually, you're doing things in Excel. By automating those processes, you're not eliminating jobs. You're not going to be eliminating what these people do. What you're going to instead do is you're going to allow those people to focus on profit generating, revenue generating activities. So instead of having to fill out an Excel sheet or fill out information in 3 different systems, once you automate some of those business processes, instead of having them do that mundane work, you're going to be enabling them to do other activities, which maybe those activities are things like, hey, updating your descriptions on your website so that more people understand what your products are and you're getting more sales from that type of stuff. The biggest misconception with automation is that people think that automation means that people are losing jobs. Okay, they're not losing jobs. It's actually quite the opposite. By having an efficient system in there, an ERP, again, like with what I do with SAP Business One or Sage Intacct, it's going to allow people to basically go out there and focus on these other tasks that are probably even more important to your business and will help get your business into a better place. So anyways, hey, we've gone 56 minutes. This is probably the longest live stream I've ever done. I've had a lot of fun. What did you guys think? We had some technical hiccups up in the beginning, but worked out pretty good. I mean, we've had 20 to 30 different people here at a time. You guys like this? Oh, look at all those applauds. I love it. I love it. We're definitely going to be doing this again. So excited. Let's see if we can get this part of a regular stream. And thank you all again. Remember, go to sharkbitebiz.com. You can go to our YouTube channel. Just look up Sharkbite Biz, Facebook, Sharkbite Biz, Twitter, Sharkbite Biz. It's pretty easy. Sharkbite Biz. Check out Vision 33. Check out deadhousecoffee.com. Use code SHARK. Get 20% off the coffee, and that helps us produce the Sharkbite Biz show. Anyways, once again, guys, my name is David Strasser. This was Sharkbite Biz Live. We'll see you all next live stream. Cheers.